Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. Weekly track roundup. It is time for yet another one of these where I go over a bunch of songs that I heard over the past week or so. I know I forgot to do one of these last week, but still this episode is packed with tracks, especially ones that I personally find to be good, and they will all be linked down below for you to check out along with the other songs that are going to be listed in front of you right here. Also down below, of course, per usual, our Turntable Lab link. We get kickback from it if you use it to buy some vinyl, buy some speakers, buy some turntable stuff, whatever helps the channel. What also helps the channel? Our Patreon page. Get some extra bonus monthly content while supporting us in the process. Access to our Discord community too. All you gotta know. And one more thing, a shout out to Austin, who wants to push you guys toward this project of music she made back in 2020 to soundtrack footage her friend recorded while living in Lebanon. She says, in accordance with this, Israel has been ramping up its seizing of Lebanese land and bombing of cities, which culminated this past week with the deadliest mass killing of Lebanese civilians in decades. The Black Wednesday attack murdered over 350 people in a matter of 10 minutes and maimed over 1,000 more. It is truly disgusting and evil. And so we will be sharing a link to donate to the Lebanese Red Cross for anyone who's able to. Thank you so much from Austin that if you do that, and thank you for me as well. So yeah, you know, this is obviously like released in support of that effort, in honor of that effort. So there you go. Shout out to Austin for putting that together and doing this little shout out over here. All right, let's move on to the worst tracks of the week. We have just a couple of those. They are as follows. Boom. Number one, MIA, who is, I guess, coming out with a Christian record very soon that includes 30 minutes of silence on the closing track, has seen fit to treat us to a teaser over here, a single. Everything is the title of the song. And it sort of sounds like if George Clanton made Christian trip hop. It's terrible. It's awful. Truly one of the worst things she has released in a minute. I don't get the appeal. What the heck is she doing? Let's move on. Also, DJ Khaled, one of them, Future, Lil Baby. DJ Khaled continuing to force things with the same tired, old, boring formula that was stale and uninteresting a decade ago. But now most of everyone is kind of like caught onto that fact at this point, and this track is like literally doing nothing. The Lil Baby and Future just basically provide nothing we've heard before. Well, listen, it's a stereotypical DJ Khaled song with a goddamn Lil Baby verse opening it up. Like, you know exactly what it's going to sound like and what it's going to do. I mean, not to say that Future and Lil Baby are bad in 2026, but at this point, I would rather listen to their solo stuff if I'm going to hear them, because I know with DJ Khaled, they're just going to be hopping on one of the blandest fucking beats you could possibly imagine in your mind that sounds like it's shooting for like radio play it's never going to get and is never going to help boost its appeal or popularity. The guy's ear just like, you know, only sort of like works within the context of a certain era of music consumption that is just dead and gone at this point, which is why his music continues to be so boring no matter who he puts on it. Moving on, we have KATSEYE, Pinky Up. I heard somebody say online that the band is making skibbity toilet music, and that quote has been haunting me for days now, because that is most definitely what this is. It's kind of like goofy, but in a try-hard way that isn't quite landing. It's like they're trying to be goofy as possible, but simultaneously it's very kind of like predictable and calculated. If something is going to be kind of like legitimately wild and random, there has to be that sense of serious risk and danger being taken with the artistic choices of the music. And even though KATSEYE continue to sort of like force these quirky phrases and bars and one-liners into their tracks, like the music and the soul behind the music isn't really backing that vibe up, so it ends up falling flat. And I think that also kind of like continues with Pinky Up over here. The tracks I was on the fence with, wasn't crazy about them, but you might like them more than me. They are as follows. Bam, we have The Strokes, Going Shopping, a song that has been a very polarizing among Strokes fans over the past week because Julian Casablancas insisted on putting autotune on it, and the song really doesn't call for it. It sounds like shit with autotune. The band themselves sound great, and at its core, it's a very quality Strokes song with a dancey demeanor to it. A nice brisk pace. The lyrics I could kind of take or leave in some pockets, but I still think it's a good solid tune from the Strokes. But again, the auto-tune just doesn't do anything for the song. And again, I could see it for maybe a Strokes song that was like maybe a bit more electronic because, you know, they have done tracks in the past that weren't fully rock cuts. A Strokes song that's maybe a little bit more experimental. Certainly I have enjoyed Julian kind of messing around with auto-tune in the context of some weird Void songs and that sort of thing. But for this particular track, I don't think it works. It doesn't make sense with it. It doesn't complement it in any way whatsoever. And as a result, I feel like the full potential of this song is kneecapped, sadly. We also have over here a new one from Too Slimy, Free Slimy. It's a very sort of basic track from him, in my opinion. Very prickly, very distorted, very aggressive, but nothing special for him and for sort of the rage scene these days, I would say. How quickly things have sort of like caught up to Too Slimy, and I'll leave it there. We have Pitbull, who miraculously has come out with a kind of decent track over here, Work. While there are a lot of dated Pitbull type elements to the track, of course, it's still a somewhat fun listen. And if it were like being played out and about, I would certainly enjoy it. But, you know, for any more personal kind of solo listens from here, probably not, but whatever. Mr. 305 continues to be Mr. 305. We also have a couple of new tracks, a single from Jack White, God and the Broken Ribs, Derecho Demonico. And I feel like if you enjoyed the material on Jack White's No Title record, you are going to get a lot out of these tracks. They feel almost like leftovers from the era, this era, especially the much yappier spoken word angle of God and the Broken Ribs. I much more preferred the latter of these two tracks. It was more straightforward, more riffy, more bluesy with its various guitar licks. But, you know, to me, this kind of feels like runoff from his most recent album era. I would be kind of blown away if these two tracks launched another album cycle. Maybe I'm, you know, ignorant here and speaking out of a lack of context for these songs. But, you know, look, I'll say in terms of vibe, in terms of lyrics, in terms of overall makeup, this does seem very similar to the stuff Jack just dropped, which, again, if you were living and dying by that record, you're probably going to get a lot out of these tracks, but it does feel a little redundant in the context of that very good, but also very recently released album. Following this, we also have new Isaiah Rashad, Same Shit, which is not too bad of a track. I wish it had a bit more contrast between its verses and choruses and came to a bit more of a peak, but still, I think Rashad comes through with a cool head-nodding flow, chill beat as well, and looking forward to his new album cycle, which he will be launching this year. We have Foo Fighters coming through with another single. Liked their last one quite a bit. It was noisy, it was post-hardcore influenced, it was a bit of a wilder side of the band that we haven't seen in a minute, but this new one over here, of all people, oddly enough feels almost like the band doing a bad Nirvana impression, which I feel like is kind of the last thing you want Foo Fighters to do for the most part. Again, I feel like with Grohl's connections, obvious connections to the band, I feel like he is able to sort of like, you know, recapture a lot of those elements really authentically and really accurately, but does it go all the way? And does it actually like, you know, fully embody the magic of that band's music when they were at their peak and, you know, back in the 90s? No, obviously not, but it's somewhat close. We can also give a shout out to this new Converge track because, believe it or not, the band is actually dropping 2 albums this year. I know they just dropped one and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Saw their material going in more of a hardcore punk direction with a lot of socially aware lyrics and a lot of very fiery, fast performances. Good record all around. This new song, Hum of Hurt, and I wonder if this will be sort of like indicative of what is going to be on the rest of this record, is a little bit more toned down, a little bit more room to breathe, a little bit more post-hardcore influence, I would say. Not as speedy, not as hardcore punk, not as metalcore. I've heard some people say who are not big Converge fans generally that this is like one of the first songs from them they've really, really enjoyed. So, I mean, you know, if Converge has always been a band that has sort of like been maybe a little too noisy for you, lacked space in their sound and their style, this track may appeal to you. It's really the intensity of their last record that I enjoy so much. The intensity seems turned down a little bit with this track. Seems obviously, again, like a conscious choice. I'm sure the band is well aware of how noisy or fast or intense they are playing at any given moment, because I mean they have to continue to push themselves to perform at that level. So it does seem like they're, again, consciously toning things down a little bit for this track in a way that left me a little underwhelmed, but again, may not be underwhelming for all Converge fans or people who, you know, maybe are kind of turned off by just how chaotic some of their classic records are. But for me personally with Converge, that's kind of the appeal. This song didn't quite scratch that itch, but I'm still looking forward to hearing how the rest of it all kind of pans out on this forthcoming record that'll be dropping this summer. And I recently saw Converge live too this past week, and they put on a very good show. So, you know, shout out to them for killing it live still. They're playing with Poison the Well, which was also a good live set. We have American Football, who is still on the way to releasing their latest full-length LP, another single from their new album, No Feeling. I do think has better lyrics than the last teaser that they threw out, but still kind of an underwhelming listen overall, even with Brendan Yates of Turnstile fame in the mix vocally here and there on the track. But, you know, if you're really digging on that sad, slow, syrupy, Midwestern emo sound, American Football is definitely still here delivering it. We have Alex Cameron over here, Statue Down, new single from him, which I thought was maybe a little too stiff and lacking in the weird oddball charisma that I typically enjoy so much in his music, though I think the song at its core here is not too bad. Still looking forward to his next record, even if this is not blowing me away. And here we have the best tracks of the week. And like I said earlier, there are quite a few to go over here. So shout out to all of these. You know, make sure to take some time to check these out, especially if you're unaware of some of these acts. We have The Sacred Souls, who are dropping a record very soon. This track from them over here is a nice, tasteful, lovely, soulful throwback. Any Old Fool is the name of the cut. Killer lead vocals. The band sounds fantastic on it. And it's got a nice sort of like, you know, daptone, vintage 70s soul kind of mix and production style on it that just sounds really peak, really choice. That label just kind of continues to kill it with that aesthetic to this day. We also have a Prodigy remix of Elitest G.O.A.T, from, of course, Sleaford mods, loving the sort of, you know, aggressive English, big beat sort of style production. It just sounds really killer with Sleaford mods lead vocals. I think even more exciting than the production they typically will ride. You know, I feel like I would love to hear more, you know, production with this sort of like level of explosivity on their stuff, honestly. And they just dropped a record recently as well. So, you know, if you're digging on this, if you're usually into Sleaford mod stuff, make sure to take some time to give that a spin for sure. We also have Rhododendron, who have a new record dropping very soon. Like Spitting Out Copper is the latest single from the record. And I was really enjoying the dynamics of this track. You have some really heavy, killer, fantastic post-hardcore passages with some great guitar work. And then in the midst of all of that, some slower, more depressive Slint-inspired sections that I thought went over really well. And then a really hard-hitting finale, too. Great progression on this track. And another song from this project that has me excited for this next record, Ascent Effort. We also have Pond, who are hitting us with a very peculiar single over here. It's kind of a different sound for them. I know this band is a bit of a chameleon type group, but you know, a lot of their records in the past have dabbled a lot more in kind of psych and that sort of thing. But this track over here goes in a new wave and sort of like old school kind of goth rock direction. And what's baffling is that they pull it off so well. Two Hands is the name of the song. It's just very accurate to that style in a way to where it feels like just as quality as some of the classic groups. So even if it is like a little derivative, it is done incredibly well. Terrestrial's forthcoming record for them, and looking forward to seeing if they kind of follow through with this sound on more tracks. We also have Lip Critic over here, who continues to bend the mind with their latest singles. Talon is the newest one, and again, continues to pull together elements of like electronic music and post-punk and industrial hip-hop and noise. It's big Garden vibes, big Death Grips vibes, but definitely has like kind of a distinct sound of its own. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the band kind of brings this new direction they've been going in to full realization with this new record once it drops. We also have Lemon Twigs, who have treated us to another single, 2 or 3. Of course, this one has some amazing vocal harmony changes and great, recording all around to boot. The band continues to kill it when it comes to bringing back some of these like vintage Brill building vocal pop aesthetics. It's 60s all the way, and just very tasteful, very well composed, very well produced. The band continues to smash it. They've really been on a run with their past couple of records, in my opinion. We have Laufey, who is treating us to, in addition to her latest record, she's putting some extra tracks on, doing the whole, deluxe deal with the additions and all that. Madwoman is, a recent, add to her new LP. And this is actually one of the most beautifully produced songs I think I've ever heard from Laufey. It's interesting, when it's come to entire albums from Laufey, so far I've not really been blown away or, all that impressed front to back, but every once in a while she like puts out what I feel like is a smash, and I'm saying I am pretty Laufey critical. But it's not like I'm completely disillusioned with what she's trying to do in terms of like, the old school vocal jazz vibes and that sort of thing. It's a little schmaltzy, maybe too schmaltzy for me sometimes, but this track is very tastefully produced and beautifully arranged and well sung too. Like the string sections are friggin' fantastic. I think some of the best that we've heard on any one of her songs so far again. And the title is Madwoman. That's the track. We also have Lambrini girls, who are hitting us with some serious like class social commentary on this new track from them. And, really kind of like digging into the toxicity of distractions and celebrity culture on this Cult of Celebrity track, which I think has turned out really good. Also, shout out to them, unfortunately, for having to dip out of their, assigned Coachella set recently due to some injury. And, go and support the band on Instagram and do everything you can to sort of like, again, show them some love and show them some support as they try to bounce back from this, speed bump that they've hit. We have Kurt Vile, who it's been a while since I've really vibed with, excuse me for hitting the mic, vibed with a Kurt Vile track to this degree. Chance to Bleed is the name of the song. And it's just a very fun, loose, indie folk rock track with some very cool refrains. Kurt is, right in that chill pocket per usual. And, the band is just sounding really good. Love that Kurt is still doing it after all of these years and sounded very nice as he's pulling it all off. Philadelphia Has Been Good to Me is the forthcoming album from him. We also have Kelsey Lou, who has hit us with another track on here. Portrait of a Lady on Fire has some big art pop, big Björk vibes, I would say, coming off the dreamy production and, kind of the nimble soaring vocals. It's very well put together. I've also heard, people bring up every sort of like name of their favorite art pop artist they could possibly think of when comparing or sort of like trying to contextualize this track. We also have one from Kelela, who with Idea One, because that is the name of this track, Idea One, basically the first idea, is dabbling with like some dream pop and shoegaze and fuzzy layers of, you know, chords and tones on this track that miraculously work way better with her vocals than one might think, given that this is not typically a style that she dabbles in. You know, however, previous records from her have been you know, a little bit more on the atmospheric end. So why not fill some of that atmosphere with all these dreamy, fuzzy tones? It's actually like a really cool direction, and I'm curious to see whether or not more singles and tracks from this new cycle from her will follow suit. But it's an interesting move for sure. We also have a Kehlani, who is treating us with a track, treating us to a track featuring Missy Elliott that has almost like a 2000s R&B radio hit kind of vibe with the vocal drops and everything. It's new music. Oh my God. Oh, holy crap. Oh my God. Kehlani, Missy Elliott. It's a very fun listen. It's very bouncy. It's very slick. It's very sleek. Missy provides just the right amount of sort of like, you know, ear catching, eye popping sort of like color. Meanwhile, Kehlani is playing it very sensual and very low key in a, you know, nice way. And yeah, it's a good track overall. We have Kavari over here, who, watch out, this track, please. I played it on a, you know, speaker that I own when we were doing New Music Friday, and for a second it busted the damn speaker. The speaker was like, you know, going like, it was all like going like farting and crackling as we were playing the song. And then when the song was over, it continued to do that. Like, the bass engineering on this song is crazy. Like, the low end is insane. So, you know, be careful jamming this one too loud. And I was even just jamming it at a middle, you know, level of volume, and it still kind of like busted the damn bass on the speaker for a hot second until I kind of turned it off, turned it on, then it seemed okay. But like, you know, for a minute, it was like a little fucked up. So be careful with this one, though it is good. It is good. We have one over here from Isobel, Rachel, which is a very peculiar track, not only because it's you know, it's got, of course, like Isobel's usual sort of like low key indie singer songwriter, you know, sort of like vibe to it, but the songwriting itself, the lyrics are like very mad and sort of like vengeful and aggressive in an interesting way. It's a cool juxtaposition of vibes and emotions for sure, and makes me even more curious as to how her new album is going to turn out when we eventually hear it. We have also one over here that I want to shout out from, of course, Iceage. It's a beautiful track, wonderful track. Loving that the band is like coming back with this kind of loose art rock sound, great performance, great vibes. It's despondent, it's weird, it's fun, it's interesting, it's entertaining. Ember is the name of the song. As far as like teasers for me, the Iceage is 2 for 2 right now, and this is like the most excited for a record I've been from them in years. So we also have one over here who I think I've heard this project before, but I'm really getting reintroduced with this track. The Radiator Getdown Services is the name of the project, and it's this really kind of like fun crossover between like post-punk and maybe some hip-hop and just heavy on the spoken word stuff, but it's very quirky, it's very weird, it's very silly. The beat and the production is strange as well, and has kind of a tongue-in-cheek element too, I would say. Again, The Radiator is the name of the song, and definitely one of the most fun singles I've heard this week. Also digging on this track from Lady Gaga and Doechii for this upcoming Devil Wears Prada 2 soundtrack reboot, all that. Usually I'm pretty underwhelmed when it comes to this, you know, soundtrack crossover crap. I'll say crap because a lot of the time it is crap. It's just sort of like, you know, an artist coming in to kind of cash in a check, which I don't blame them. You know, you don't want to waste some of your best shit on like a random ass soundtrack for a movie that's not going to do too well. But the Devil Wears Prada is kind of like it's kind of a classic at this point, you know, in a certain subset of the film world. And I feel like Doechii and Lady Gaga crossing over is just like too big of a moment and an opportunity that is going to draw too many eyes to like put out a track that is mid, that is trash. And as a result, Gaga and Doechii really like took full advantage of this situation to not only knock it out of the park, but create a song that like really feeds into the, you know, backstory and the ambiance of The Devil Wears Prada, because, you know, you're gonna come together with a track that's like, it's voguing, it's ballroom, it's runway, you know, magic, that sort of thing. Doechii's verse is fantastic. Gaga's soaring vocals are amazing. The house beat is killer. It's just very tasteful. It's very fun. It's very on the fucking mark. It knows what it was supposed to do, and it absolutely killed it and checked all the correct boxes and just laid some extra heapings of stank on it. And that's really all you can say. All right. We have also over here one that I have been enjoying surprisingly from Dry Cleaning. I've not really been into the band's most recent album cycle, mostly because like I feel like a lot of their new material has kind of landed in this weird kind of fusion of art rock and ASMR where, you know, the instrumentals are very underwhelming and the vocals are like right up in your ear. But I feel like this track over here, providing more sort of like harsh, weird, unnerving guitar passages that contrast with the vocals a little more, and Sliced by a Fingernail is the name of the song, by the way, has definitely scratched a part of my brain that I was hoping that their last album would scratch, but for the most part did not. But yeah, you know, this is like kind of an interesting Lucy from them, I'll say. And, you know, again, while I was not crazy about this latest record from them, I still do think that they're a cool band, for sure. But yeah, there you go. Dry Cleaning. Alabama Shakes, American Dream, killer song from them. Oh my God. It is haunting. It is powerful. It is heavy. It is spacious. It's just got all of these elements of blues and soul and, but almost like a heavy kind of doomy pace to it, which is actually kind of crazy. And it's dark, it's strange, it's, you know, really a reflection that I feel like a track titled American Dream should deliver right now. And, you know, it's just so amazing that the band is going to be returning very soon with their new record, because I mean, they're just a talent that I feel like has been missing for quite a long time. So there you go. All right. And that is going to be it, everyone. That is the weekly track roundup. Hopefully you got some good recommendations. Did you get a good, maybe you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 good recommendations out of this video? Thank you very much for watching. You're the best. Over here next to my head, another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, weekly tracks forever.